I'm Elisa P. Zaragoza, Education Program Supervisor in charge of kindergarten and special education, and at the same time a focal person of ELLN, or what we call the early language literacy and numeracy. My topic for today is about the Pivot 4A design framework for curriculum and instructional delivery. This topic objective is provide guidance and understanding and preparing teachers' materials using IDEA. What about the Pivot 4A design framework for curriculum and instructional delivery, known as the IDEA exemplar? What are the framework or principles embedded for it? This is the frame which was discussed by Mr. Ednel Almoradi, wherein he showed the distribution of learning competencies per quarter and how these learning competencies divided and distributed. When we prepared the budget of work last February in the region, together with Ma'am Pilita Villanueva, Ma'am Yolanda Oliver, Sir Rick Macabenta, and yours truly, this is the frame used by all the writers in the region. Taking into account the milk or the most essential learning competencies was plotted and identified the personal competencies. When we speak of personal competencies, this is one of the competencies that shall be given attention by our teachers. As per Division Order 21, Series 2019, this refers to specific skills performed by varying degrees of independence. It has different degrees of difficulties and performance level. It also refers the ability to perform activities according to the standards expected from the drawing one's knowledge, skills, and attitude. In the framing of Pivot 4A budget of works, and personal competencies were considered as the of learning, propellants of learning. The inputs in the learning process, they are the evolving accumulation of related capabilities that facilitates learning and other forms of goal attainment. After the personal competencies and learning habits, these two guides or these two guides us to determine or identify the enabling or the prerequisite skills. These personal competencies converge to form the learners from pattern of behavior when engaged in learning for mastery. This suggests new forms of assessment for today's learner. After it was able to contextualize the DepEd Order number 42, Series 2016, this was the order in forms of DLL and DLP, and according to the department order, preparing for lessons through the Daily Lesson Log or DLL or Detailed Lesson Plan provides teachers with an opportunity for reflection on what learners need to learn, how learners learn, and how best to facilitate the learning process. But in reality, most of our teachers prepare the DLL, DLP, through which they are empowered by their principals. They neglect or sometimes did not make use of the teacher's guide, learning competencies, or the learning materials. But with the advent of the new normal, the regional office released the Regional Memorandum 296 Series 2020 that all parts of the original DLP are subsumed in Pivot for a lesson exemplars, this lesson exemplar shall replace DLP during this period for teachers to manage and maximize their time, learning resources adjustments, preparations, and other teaching resources. And at the end of each month, teachers are enjoined to develop supplementary materials to be used by learners in its lesson cycle. With the release of Regional Memorandum 296 Series 2020, all we can say that it is one of the best ways in the region to all teachers. Considering that the teachers' materials in the form of exemplars are now ready for use comes August. Yun nga lang, we will wait kung anong modalities ang gagamitin natin, whether it be online distance learning or modular distance learning or both. And the latest, meron daw tayong tinatawag na DepEd TV School. Sana mag-materialize ito. At ito nga ang nilalaman sa RM296. We'll read it. The preparation of the lesson should strictly follow paragraphs 4 to 6 of Regional Memorandum 296, Series 2020, which states that preparation of lessons should be anchored to pivot for a budget of work, or what we call BOW, where most essential learning competencies, or MELC, and enabling competencies are mapped. The pivot for a lesson exemplar, preparation, and curriculum delivery process follow four main teaching learning phases, with a teacher as facilitator of learning using the I, the D, the E, and the A in idea instructional process for a 30 minutes to 1 hour lesson depending on the nature or setup of its learning area. The idea instructional process shall be guided by necessary teaching and learning adjustment to accommodate diverse learners. Going on to the instructional delivery design framework, where the BOW will be used, these are the principles and philosophical and psychological anatomy of the idea exemplars. In each part, you will find the different learning principle embedded on it. Basically, in introduction, which represent the I in the idea, it embedded the principle authentic learning, and it focuses learning activities that equip all types of learners to gain essential life skills, to know the connection between learning and real life context, and to generate increased engagement of learners to the tasks or experience. The second part of the exemplar, called the development, where the mastery learning principle is embedded, this part focuses learning activities that allow learners to learn with provisions and conditions that are appropriate for their learning. And the third part of the exemplar, known as the engagement, in the idea, it embedded the principle experiencing learning. This focuses learning activities shall be experiential rather than just informational. And the fourth, the last is assimilation, or the A in the idea exemplar. It embraces the principle of meaningful learning, reflective learning. And this focuses learning activities shall be anchored and integrated in the cognitive structure of the learner. Wherein, for letter I, you have their communication. For letter D, the collaboration. For letter E, critical thinking. And for letter A, creativity. When we speak of the word ekleia, seen in the upper part of the PowerPoint, when we speak of the word ekleia framework, it articulates the idea structures in curriculum. Simply, the idea is the simplest articulation of the ekleia framework in the curriculum. For intent, this pertains in the learning outcome and other words. When we prepare the idea exemplar, the first and foremost thing that comes to a teacher is the learning outcome. The letter C in the ecleia is mean the content. This pertains to the milk. Then the learning experiences pertain to the real life experiences, where these 21st century skills are embedded. And the assessment focuses on the portfolio assessment and reflective assessment, considering the modality at present. Now, if we think into account and details on its part, the introduction focuses the learning competency, which is all about milk, the most essential learning competencies, and the learning outcomes, core content and values, and it also focuses the KSAV, and it embeds formative assessment. In the D, in the idea, which is the development, it focuses concepts and basic skills, developmental activities. It focuses KSAV, and again, it embeds formative assessment. In the E and the idea or the engagement, this focuses learning opportunities, hands-on engagement, activities, learning points, and performance or output. Same, it focuses KSAB, then it embeds formative assessment. And the assimilation, it focuses the new skills, habits of minds, and life skills. Focus on KSAB, then it embeds formative assessment, and at the end, they will develop a portfolio assessment. The I, the D, the E, and the A in the idea are interconnected to each other. Thus, if we try to look the essence of the principle in the preparation of the exemplar, in the time before the new normal, the teacher are preparing teacher's guide, DLL, and DLP. And in the parts of the DLL and DLP, ito ang kanilang mga ginagawa. Di ba mga teachers, ito ang inyong mga ginagawa. Number 1, reviewing previous lesson. Number 2, establishing a purpose. Number 3, presenting sample, discussing concepts, developing mastery, finding practical application, making generalizations, evaluating learning, and enriching activities. So ito lahat ang ginagawa nyo. This time, with the pivot 4A, teacher's material in the new normal is just the idea exemplar. Hindi na gagawa kayong mga teachers ng TG, ng DLL, or DLP. Simply, and this new normal, idea exemplar na lang ang inyong gagawin. And this is being substantiated and Regional Memorandum Number 10, Series 2020, and at the same time, Regional Memorandum Number 296, Series 2000 o 2020. Now, if you take a look, this time in August o before new normal, learner materials, ang tawag natin ay learning LM, teachers materials TG, teachers materials DLL, DLP. So ito ang noong before new normal, ito ang gagawin ng mga kaguruan natin. But now in new normal, yung learners material, ang tawag dito ay module pivot 4A learning materials. Then yung teachers material, yung dating DLL, DLP, TG, ngayon ay exemplar na lang. And lesson exemplar based on idea. The articulation and adjustment to suit for various modalities of this idea exemplar. Now let's take a look of the format of the DLL or DLP and the K-12 learning delivery process. Ito po siya. The K-12 learning delivery process, reviewing previous lesson, establishing a purpose, presenting sample, then discussing concepts, developing mastery, finding practical application, making generalizations, and evaluating learnings. Then, enriching activities. Ito lahat ang ginagawa nyo sa learning deliveries process ng K-12. But and Pivot 4A, learning deliveries process, embedding the 21st century skills, ito lang, introductions, communication, development, collaboration, engagement, critical thinking, assimilation, creativity. Ang dami pong parts nung sa K-12 learning delivery process natin. Di po ba? And with the Pivot 4A learning deliveries, ang proseso natin, embedding the 21st century skills and through the strategic thrust of the Pivot 4A, aligning the intervention and focus, we're able to streamline the DLL and DLP written in the old format. Ito, yung tinatawag natin, reviewing previous lesson, establishing a purpose, presenting sample, ay dito ito sa introduction ng idea ilalagay. Then, yung tinatawag nating discussing concepts sa developmental collaboration. Yung developing mastery sa developmental collaboration din. Then, finding practical application, making generalization, evaluating learnings. Dito to sa tinatawag nating assimilation. Then, yung enriching activities, doon naman to tatapat sa engagement. So, at least meron kayong guide or this is the transition for those teachers who find difficulties of coping up with a new exemplar using the principle of idea. And this is also This will also help a lot for teachers. So doon sa mga teachers na sanay na magsulat noong dating format, pwede natin itong gamitin na parang mnemonic. Ito ang magsisilbing guide nyo sa paggawa ng idea exemplar. Kung sanay kayo sa dati, itapat nyo lang ito, yung reviewing dito sa introduction, yung discussing sa development, yung developing sa development ulit, finding practical application, making generalization, evaluating learning sa engagement, then ang enriching activities ay sa engagement. So, yun po ang kadali ang paggawa ng idea or lesson exemplar based on idea. Again, the idea teaching learning process is introduction, in Tagalog panimula, development, pagpapaunlad, engagement, pakikipagpalihan, then assimilation, paglalapat. Okay, so now the question is, what about those parts that are embedded in the old part known as recall, remediation, reflection, and relearning? Ang recall, you can include this to introduction. And what about those teachers na nagkakaroon ng remediation? That is under development. And next, the reflection, yun ay ilalagay nyo sa engagement. And yung relearning, kapag gusto nyong mag-enrich o magturo ulit sa batang yun, ilalagay nyo ito sa assimilation o palalapat. Okay. So, yun. And now, I will present to you the teacher's materials and the learner's materials. Ganito ang itsura ng matatanggap natin na mga materials galing region. Dati kasi, mga teacher ay gumagawa ng DLL and DLP na hindi align sa kanilang LCs at sa learning materials. Pero with Pivot 4A and with the MELC, ngayon ay kailangan ng align ang teacher's materials sa learner's materials. At pagbaba nitong mga modules na ito ay gagawan din natin ng lesson exemplar based on idea. So antayin na lang natin ang pagbaba. Meron na yata pero hindi pa lahat. So ito ay gagawin with their respective area. Tungkol sa modalities, uusapan pa. It's either online learning distance or modular learning, distance learning. Or madadagdag pa yung DepEd TV shows. Yun ang aabangan natin na mga modalities natin na maaaring gamitin. Or DepEd TV schools pala. Okay? Change is the end result of all true learning, ayon kay Leo Buscaglia. And thank you for listening.